Hey guys, it's Bionic here. Welcome back to another Godforge video. Today I'll be going through all the updated rare hero kits that will be in the beta. I've made a tier list for you so you can go back to it as you play. Now, make sure that you've signed up for the Godforge Beta. It starts on the 19th of May, which is only a few days away now. It's important to note that the beta will be only going for about 2 to 3 weeks, so it's likely that our teams will be made up of mostly rare and epic heroes. Let's not waste any more time, let's get straight into it, starting from D tier and working our way all the way up to S tier. The first hero on the list is Lubu, who I've ranked in D tier as he doesn't bring anything reliable of value. He will be best used as food to rank up your other heroes. The other hero I have in D tier is Shawn 1, another hero that brings very little to the table and should be served as food. Now, onto C tier. We'll start with Ceridwen. Her first two abilities are single target, making her less viable in a team situation. She throws off speed tunes with her basic as well. Otherwise, the ultimate is pretty nice, although expensive for a rare. The next hero in C tier is a Slaug. She also throws off speed tuning with speed up 1 on a random ally for 1 turn. Otherwise, her other abilities are okay, mostly for the turn meter push, but Isolde offers this and more and is given to you at the start of the game. You may as well use her. I placed Eshell in C tier as all of her abilities are niche and conditional, making it very difficult to get reliable value from her kit. Babby was the next hero I placed in C tier. He has been improved, but probably not enough for me to rank him any higher. He brings niche buffs, all of which are not guaranteed to land. The next hero who I have in C tier is Lagertha, who has a pretty decent kit overall. It's mostly just the 150% shield that lets me down. It's just too small. Orpheus finds himself in C tier as an internal evoker due to bringing a bunch of nice tier 1 buffs that unfortunately only last 1 turn each. If the passive gets updated to a larger amount in line with the new divinity costs, he will be bumped up to B tier. Lada is the last hero I have placed in C tier. Almost all of her abilities are single target and none of them stand out. She's not really worth a team slot in my opinion. Now we're up to B tier. Before I go any further, please hit that like and subscribe button if you'd like to see more of this type of content. If there is anything you would like me to cover in more detail, let me know in the comments below. Now, back to the tier list. Starting off in B with Debrynja, who brings attack down 1 for 2 turns on the basic and a bunch of valuable protective buffs, some for 2 to 3 turns. Although he may be very hard to keep alive. The next hero I have in B tier is Minotaur. His basic has been buffed and now places 2 stacks of bleed, making him a much more viable hero, especially when paired with his self-retaliate. He also brings some CC on the core. Next in B tier is Nebuchadnezzar, who brings solid defensive buffs, self-sustain and attack down 1 that is fairly reliable. Asag is the next in B tier. His most valuable ability is his passive. Although from reading his kit, it does not seem like it will work without any other hero that places or extends Blaze. Otherwise, the AoE Blaze is pretty nice. Next in B tier is Mabon, whose primary role is protecting your team from debuffs, with his res up 1 for 2 turns as well as his block debuffs for 2 turns. Sargon is the next hero in B tier. His basic is cool, that 1 random ally will join the attack. Otherwise, he also brings attack down 2 for 2 turns, which is really nice for a rare. And the ultimate is strong, with a 200% shield and radiance 1 for 2 turns. I could potentially see this hero in A tier in the right circumstances. Cait Sith is in the B tier, as they bring a whole bunch of level 1 debuffs for 2 turns that will really slow down bosses, as well as a 20% turn meter decrease. Next in B tier is Vidar, who seems to have the highest HP of all the rares, and some of the best single target damage multipliers for a brawler. Otherwise, his kit is pretty bare. Sigurd is an eternal brawler that specializes in single target damage and self-sustainability. Otherwise, his kit is also quite bare. Enkidu, on the other hand, brings high single target damage with a debuff and the ability to reduce the target speed. Next in the B tier is Nefertiti. She brings a bunch of value via debuffs and turn meter control. She also places charm on one target, which can be very nice to shut down a slayer. Next in the B tier is Nitocris, despite her awesome looking kit. It is excellent for removing debuffs from your team and throwing them back on the enemy. The problem is, most of her abilities don't do much unless your team have debuffs on them. It's still a great kit. Next in B tier, we have Ragnar Lothbrok, who brings a very valuable, reliable AoE defense down 1 for 2 turns. This is a rare skill. Next in B tier, we have Tomoe Gozen. She has a very wordy kit. To sum it up, she is a single target damage dealing brawler with scaling crit damage and reduce attack, with the ability to remove 50% of a shield on the ultimate. Pretty good overall. Next is Maria Marevna, who is a slayer that specializes in dealing additional damage to enemies with buffs. Her ultimate can also decrease a target's defense up to 10%, which could be quite useful in some boss fights. Oni is in B tier with a very strong hitting core ability. Otherwise, his kit plays around Hex, and he does this quite well now, turning his single target damage into partial AoE damage. The drain on his basic is also quite nice. This might be a bit of a shock to some, but I've put Lady Jock down in B tier. This is due to her low chance of placing her bleed on her basic, as well as the full effect of the passive requiring 15 turns for Lady Jock to stack the 10 bleeds up on. Now on to the A tier, starting with Eurydice. When paired with Orpheus, she is very strong, bringing reliable single target CC on the basic and core, as well as great turn meter control on the ultimate. It's just a pity you'd have to use up one of your team slots for Orpheus. Shishi is the next hero I've put in the A tier, bringing great protection for your whole team as well as joint attack for defenders on his core. That's a pretty cool ability. Next we have Bork. He extends buffs, steals buffs, and can place a reliable single target disable. A pretty versatile kit overall. Now we have one of Dirk's favourite heroes, Cyclops. His unique core effect reduces defense and attack, stacking up to 15%. This is great for any boss situations. His ultimate also sounds pretty overpowered that it straight up destroys 10% of the enemy's max HP. Although I do not think it will work like this, at least not on bosses. Next in the A tier is Dagonet, who brings a reliable 2-turn AoE defense down 1 as well as a hard-hitting ultimate on enemies under defense down. He also brings turn meter control and a chance to lock core and ultimate abilities. Lee Nalmasa has 2 very strong AoE attacks on the core and the ultimate. I think he will outperform all of the starter heroes in wave content. Next in the A tier is Onryo. She has a strong kit stacked with debuffs. Her ultimate could be a particularly strong point when paired with the right allies, potentially draining very large amounts of divinity. Akuma is the next hero in the A tier. He brings an AoE Blaze 1 which synergizes with his passive, allowing him to steal 5% of the target's current HP. This has potential to be quite strong. Tristan is an old and reliable hero from the Alpha. He brings a lot to keep your team alive and synergizes well with the Solday, both of which we get for free early game. CRS is the next hero I've put in A tier. Most notably, she has a strong single target divinity decrease on her basic. She also has an AoE Hex and some self-buffing. Next in the A tier is Tutankhamun. He brings quite a lot to the table. The standout feature is his ultimate. It has a very low divinity cost and does massive single target damage, as well as applying Drain, Vulnerable, Curse and Acid. This alone lands him in A tier. Ulfhednar is the next hero I've placed in A tier. He also does big single target damage, particularly on the core. His Destroy HP effect on the basic seems rather strong too. We will have to test it in the beta to see how it really works. Next in A tier is Ramses. He's placed above Lady Jock. as he places acid for 2 turns on the core, immediately achieving the full effect of his passive. AoE acid is also a rare ability and may be essential in Arena. Next in A tier is Volkodlak, whose kit has been changed for the better. He has an AoE disable on the ultimate which synergizes well with his basic. 20% turn meter steal on a basic is really big. Another key player from the alpha was Skadi. Since then she has received a significant nerf. She has lower chance to land all of her freeze effects and now has a relatively high divinity cost. She should still do her job of controlling the wave fairly well, although inconsistently. I was almost tempted to place her in B tier, but her eternal status keeps her in the A tier. Hippolyta was also used in the alpha extensively. She is a really solid defender that also brings good healing. She also has an ally attack, ultimate, and a high chance of landing a taunt on her basic. Icarus has received a good buff. He now has a great passive that helps push his turn meter and make his core hit harder. On the core he self-buffs accuracy up, then places an AoE blaze. Then on the basic he can upgrade the rank of the blaze from 1 to 2. And the ultimate does high damage with blaze activation. Overall, a great choice for a damage dealer. Ma Chao is the next hero I have placed in the A tier. He has very high attack stat and great multipliers as well as built-in strong hit chance. If you do a strong hit build with him, there are 3 level 2 buffs or debuffs he can place. This is great for a rare. Now we're up to the top 10. Still in A tier, we have Diao Chan. She has an amazing divinity and turn meter control. When timed right, she can also place sleep for 2 turns on enemies whose divinity falls below 10% after using her core. Her charm also lasts 3 turns, which is amazing for stalling a slayer. The next in A tier is Unbound Sage's favourite character, Shinigami. He brings 3 key debuffs: defense down, drain and curse. At the same time he has really high damage on the ultimate with an extremely low divinity cost. This will be going off more than once every turn once he is built right. Anka Senamoon is the next hero I have in A tier. She brings a strong shield that is on a particularly low divinity cost. This will be available to refresh frequently. She also has a strong passive, particularly with how most bosses will likely have 2 AoE attacks in a row when they reach full divinity. The first attack may drop your team below 50% HP, and the second defeating them. In this case, they would all revive. She also has some debuff protection and buff extension, and once she's awakened, a 10% heal as well. Vesna is a really strong rare healer. She brings healing on the core and ultimate, with her passive increasing these heals further. If you don't run defenders on your team and need a healer, Vesna will do you well. The next in A tier is Muse. She has the best divinity support out of all of the rares. If you want more ultimates, use Muse. She also brings 2 of the most potent damage increasing buffs on her ultimate, which are Attack Up and Sharpen 1. The last hero in A tier is Tengu, who received a well-deserved nerf last week. He is still in great shape, bringing the extremely valuable AoE debuff Corrupt as an AoE, as well as a conditional 2-turn AoE sleep. His steal buff on the basic has a great synergy with his passive as well, allowing significant turn meter control. Overall, a great rare. Now we have finally made it to the S tier. Starting off with Cecilia Katzen. He is a disruptor that brings a conditional AoE and single target disable, which will be refreshed very quickly. He also brings a conditional speed down and faith down too. Very strong debuffs for a rare. Unfortunately, they're only 1 turn. The next in S tier is Chang'e. She has the potential to out-heal a Solde, which is a big deal. Her passive can cause her basic to heal huge amounts. It also seems like it might work on all other heals, which seems completely broken when paired with Isolde's passive. Otherwise, she also brings a stack of buffs for 2 turns. Accuracy up, res up, and block debuffs. Speaking of Isolde, she is the next spot in the S tier. Her passive alone lands her here. If you are running more than 1 defender, she is a must in almost any team. She is great even with 1 defender. She also brings a bunch of turn meter push, small cleanse, and defense and attack up for 1 turn. Finally, we have the number 1 spot in S tier, Guan Yu. This is primarily due to his basic, doing 5% enemy max HP. This is great as it can be leveraged with speed, ally attack, counter attack, and retaliate. He also places Drain 2 on the core, which is an amazing buff, increasing all of your heroes' damage by 20% and giving 20% lifesteal. The one negative is that it might be harder to defeat an enemy with his ultimate now because it's been changed, and therefore harder to cycle back to his core. Now that rounds up my tier list of all of the rares. I'll be doing a list for the epic heroes in my next video. Were there any rares that you would place differently? Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.